Hello, I'm Pylon John, and welcome back to Montmaquis, which is now a huge city. And I decided I'm going to start calling this a Vanilla Plus build because I am using mods, but I'm mostly trying to keep it to just the essentials. One of them is, of course, Better Bulldozer, and here I'm using it just to show you where I've placed some surfaces and invisible roads in the spaces in between some of these downtown high-rises. Another one that I've talked about in previous episodes is the Bye Bye Homeless mod, which takes care of a bug that Colossal Order will hopefully fix soon now that they're back from vacation. But yeah, it does sound a lot like what's happening in California right now, with the governor himself taking unhoused people's meager possessions away from them. Anyway, I wanted to turn on the day-night cycle just for a bit, just to see what the city actually looks like after dark. I think the urban elementary school looks especially cool at night. Like, are those stained glass windows? And then, of course, there's the crown jewel of Montmaquis, the Notre-Dame des Martyrs Cathedral in the Old Town. Our unemployment rate is currently at 18.6%, and in this episode, I want to try to bring that down a little bit by replacing an industrial sector that I demolished in a previous episode. It'll go right around here, right next to the town dump, and around city service buildings like the bus depot. Back to our master plan for Montmaquis, you'll notice that some of the areas I had initially intended to make low-density residential suburbs might actually make great industrial hubs. But in the next episode, I'll get started on the one in the southwest, near the existing farms and ore and oil industry. But today we'll start up here, and the first thing I want to do is lay down some roads. Since this is still a fairly urban area, I'm not going to use the alleys, but the simple 2-lane roads with sidewalks. Now with the road network in place, we're ready for some buildings. Some of them I'll plop down myself using the Find It mod, and some I'll allow to spawn naturally by zoning. These oil storage units look appropriate next to the bus depot, even though the buses are electric. But unless you're using the Plot the Growables mod, don't forget to zone industrial underneath after you've placed it. Then, since there'll be a lot of large trucks coming through this area, I'll use Move It to enlarge these intersections. Which is a pretty simple matter with roads like these, but a real pain when it comes to those wide boulevards that I made before the Road Builder mod came out. For these, I have to go through the process of creating a super node at every single intersection. I thought about using the Road Builder mod to replace them, but the roads that it creates are basically new assets. And I'm trying to avoid that kind of thing and keep it simple here. Vanilla Plus, right? So yeah, creating super nodes and then using Move It to tidy things up. Although it might mess up the zoning a little bit. Let's see if I can save these buildings. There we go. And that just about takes care of that. Although enlarging the intersections messed up all my zoning over here too. And since we're still fairly close to the heart of the city, I want to limit the number of smokestacks in this industrial area. Although I know most of them will just spawn back in eventually. And what did all this industry do for our unemployment rate? Well, it brought it down a little bit, but 16.5 is still kind of high, I think. Okay, that's better. Now I'll plant some trees in between these industrial buildings. My current preferred technique is to place the largest trees first, at a variety of different ages, and then work my way down to the smaller trees, and eventually the wild green bushes. Now, Autumn Mills isn't a bad name for this district. It is autumn after all, but I think we'll go with Guéris, after Albert Guéris. According to Wikipedia, he organized escape routes for downed Allied pilots during the Second World War. He operated under the alias Pat O'Leary. The escape line became known as the Pat O'Leary line, so we'll use that name for this street. And this one we'll name after Ian Garrow, the British officer who founded the line while he was interned in Marseille. He and others were sheltered in Toulouse by Marie-Louise Dissart, a 60-year-old cat lady and apparently a master of disguise who took over the line after Guéris and Garrow were arrested by the Gestapo. André Borel was the first female secret agent to parachute into Nazi-occupied France, but was later captured by the Nazis and executed. And the Ponzan group, led by Spanish anarchist Francisco Ponzan Vidal, helped get people over the mountains into Spain, although Ponzan was also executed by the Nazis. Before going any further, I want to place bus stops and a bus line between the Guéris district and the train station. Doing this later might mess up my zoning, so better to get it out of the way now. We'll name line 5 after the street that it runs along, Borel. And I don't know if I showed you the bus lines going out of town. Again, we'll eventually have to change those names to something more suitable. Anyway, here's the route for line 5. We might need more buses, so I'll add another garage. And then another signature building becomes unlocked, the Waveform Tower. It's a residential building, so I don't know if it was placing the garage that unlocked it. In any case, this building is way too tall for our modest Montmaquis skyline. Somehow it looks like our unemployment rate has gone back up, and we have some industrial and office demand. But first, I want to finish up along Chemin de la Résistance and zone some mixed-use buildings to match what's on the other side, although they might be a little smaller on this side. I'll zone it, but then plop in specific buildings where I want them. For example, here. I don't want windows only facing the front of the building, but the front and the right side. Like this. Here I decided that keeping a bus line running along Chemin de la Résistance might be cannibalizing ridership from my new tram line, and maybe I should just delete it. But that line was also serving the industrial areas south of the river. I think I'll extend line 1 to do that. So line 1 is now the commercial industrial line. And while we're here, we might as well just renumber the lines too. This new urban police station seems to have the capacity to handle all of the police things in Montmaquis. And our old police station doesn't really seem to fit the neighborhood anymore. So it looks like I might get the thrill of demolishing a police station. Defund the police. And fill in the space with more mixed-use buildings. And plant trees. Lots and lots of trees. And remove plants where they shouldn't be growing, like here, and here, and over here. That looks pretty good, although at this point I decide to restore the road that I removed to make way for the police station. This one. Now I just need to upgrade it so that it has a wide sidewalk on one side and parking on the other, although which side is it supposed to be again? I went and checked the other streets and yeah, it's supposed to be this side. Now let's head down to the southwestern portion of the map and start laying the groundwork for an industrial zone down here. As you can see, I plan to bring the railroad down here as well as build a new highway, so we've got a lot of work to do. I want to see if I can get this new highway at a slope of less than 5% if possible. And I also want to avoid these old rail lines and these barns, if I can. I'll start by buying up some more map tiles, although I could just use Anarchy and build where I want. But this terrain is pretty steep. I think I'll try to get a consistent slope down to this flat pad over here. I will buy a few more map tiles first though. And then clear cut some trees to better see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna start by trying to figure out where to place my interchange while minimizing the slope of this new highway, and I think it'll have to go on this side of the old rail lines, which isn't ideal, but it's okay. And I'll begin by just tracing out a straight path for the highway. It's gonna end up curving along the base of the mountains, but I just want to get a sense of what we're working with here. So here I'll use the slope terrain tool, but that incline is still a little more than I'd like. Let's see if we can get it down to about 5%. And have it curve along the base of these mountains while still respecting natural geological features. Okay, maybe I will use Anarchy here, just to get a better sense of exactly where this highway is going. And after making heavy use of the slope terrain tool, I'll just come through and smooth things out afterwards. And as winter approaches in Montmaquis, we need to think about what kind of system interchange we want to use here. We could go with a T interchange, but I think I'll choose a trumpet, which I can modify to better suit our needs. So I'll just delete these, plop this down here, and connect everything up. It would be safer if these merging lanes were a little longer. I think I ended up spending just a little bit too much time trying to get this interchange looking just right. And since I placed this highway overpass using Anarchy, I want to make sure that it's actually high enough for even the largest vehicles to clear it. And I'm not sure that it is, so I'll spend even more time now trying to fix that. And I'm actually not sure if that's any better or if that was just a big waste of time. Now, I'd like to place some more farms, and looking at our production tab, we can see that our only real needs in terms of raw materials are grain and livestock. I'll start with a grain farm here, close to the other one. And surround it with a row of trees, as we do here in Montmaquis. Here's a closer view, as we see Edward Maitland heading home from his job at the college. I'll then add a livestock farm next to our new grain farm. Let's hope it fares better than our last livestock farm, which we had to demolish. But we could still use more livestock. So I think I'll mirror what's on this side of the highway by taking this on-ramp and turning it into a road that runs parallel to it. Let's make this an alley for now, and then connect it back up to the highway. Now we can place one final livestock farm in Michelet. I then decided, let's put the two livestock farms on the same street. Now with Anarchy on, we can extend our industry area past this circle, but we'll play nice for now. And that'll be it for this episode. In the next one, we'll continue developing our industry by building a whole new industrial area and expanding our rail network. And we'll see if we finally got our unemployment rate under control. In the meantime, I want to thank you very much for watching and invite you to give this video a like and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, enjoy the closing cinematics. I'm Pylon John. Until next time, Free Palestine.